All right. So today is obviously Wednesday, February 2022, or 22nd, 2023. There's always something happening in the Tesla space. And so we're going to get brighter today with Herbert. As you all know, he actually runs a daily Tesla update. It's the Tesla Minute. My favorite one of the week typically is the Tesla Cyber Bulls. And so, he brings together people from all backgrounds just with awesome insights. And I thought it would be great this week just to catch up with him, see what's going on as he just keeps a awesome tracker of not only key milestones, but just latest events. And so, and also too, at some point, I would love to get his take on, what he thought of our club along with 4 or 5 other clubs from all over California seeing the Tesla Semi actually in action. And this wasn't a delivery event. I mean, Bill Gates, I'm sorry, it was actually in action. It was doing a full load. I didn't get the specs of the load, but there was a Frito-Lay employee or PepsiCo employee doing a load all the way to Bakersfield. And so really cool experience this past weekend, but let's bring in Herbert.
Hey,
Hey,
hey.
Herbert, how's it
Hey,
going?
guys. Good, John. Thanks.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. That's wonderful. You keep doing these 8 o'clock in the morning ones, though, but that's okay. I still wake up early in the morning regardless, but yeah.
Yeah, no worries. It's partially just to separate the workday from, the fun,
Yeah.
passionate stuff that I'm doing. So, but thank you so much for your time. I really
No problem.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate this. Anytime I can chat with you, it's wonderful. Yeah. We're going to talk about your big event that you've been doing this weekend. That was massive. That was a wonderful event.
Yeah, we had Tesla Club SoCal, Santa Clarita Valley, we had Central Coast, the East Bay from the Bay Area, San Joaquin Valley, which is that area. And I guess we can just talk about this first. But so,
Yeah.
we were literally just all hanging out. And we probably had about 200 Teslas there, literally at Harris Ranch, which is now the largest supercharger in the world, 98 stalls, all, I
Wow.
think 80 of them are 250 kilowatt. And then there's 18 that are legacy. They're like 18 kilowatts. And so we just wanted to do a takeover because obviously now it's the biggest one. And so, we wanted to just pack it out. We did leave about 20 stalls open to, people just kind of driving through. And we're just hanging out. It's like this thing just starts coming around and everyone's, and obviously it's easy to see because it's this bright orange, cheetah that's just on the thing. And you see this Frito-Lay and it's literally just going and parking next to all the other legacy semis. And again, I thought it was staged. I thought maybe someone had put a call in and said, "Hey, if you're doing a load,
Yeah.
just stop off this exit." And we talked to all the leaders. No one had any idea. And the cool thing is, it sounds like that's just their route. So they're going from
Yeah.
typically Manteca all the way down to
You were
Bakersfield.
there.
If they're Yeah, and we were there from 12 to 3 and he came for his lunch break. So he was there for a full hour. And again, it was really cool to see him. He's doing a load. Again, I didn't get the specs. And there is some footage out there. We'll have to look that up. But there is some footage from that day, people looking at what's in the back, specifically, how the thing is linked up. They looked at some of the cameras that were actually underneath the some of the side view mirrors as well. But it's just crazy to see that thing in action. Again, it's probably going to be a slower ramp than expected. I think they're just doing tons of testing,
Mhm.
but it's just what's important is this thing is on the road. It's doing loads for companies. And I'm really excited to see this expand specifically for, Frito-Lay, PepsiCo, especially because I think they have a huge order. I don't know the exact number, if it's like 100, 200 or something like that.
200. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just it's a big deal in that this thing is officially on the road. It's doing loads. And some people actually, as they were driving down to LA when they were leaving, they saw another one coming back from another trip. So there again,
Yeah.
there's a lot in motion right now. I think every truck they bought, they have working for them. So, and again, this Harris Ranch Supercharger again, was in the middle of their trip. They weren't stopping to charge. They were literally just stopping, parking next to all the other legacy semis. As I guess you do, you just
Yeah.
there's this huge open field that you literally just back into. And yeah, sorry, were you gonna say something?
No, no,
Oh,
that's
okay.
funny. I just
Yeah,
think it's
so it was just,
they just
just it came through and, like, literally, it's kinda funny. There was, a
yeah.
drone shot, of us just you could literally see it's funny because it's like everyone was hanging out in one area, and then as soon as we realized what was happening, we all just, like, um, it came down, and I think the Frito-Lay guy was just, like, a little overwhelmed. So he was like but I don't think he understands, like, what this means to the trucking industry. I mean, he probably does, but 2, what this means
Yeah,
to the Tesla
they
fan
do.
base. I mean,
Mhm.
it did take a little bit longer than I think we probably all expected given COVID and all the, production
Yeah,
slowdowns and priorities to get through, like, a pandemic. And so, it was just, a huge, blessing to see that. Again, it kind of it was the cherry on top. It was already a special event to have 5
yeah,
clubs, 5 or 6 clubs from all over California coming together, at the
yeah.
largest Supercharger, but to have that, I mean, it wasn't as cool as the Cybertruck, but again, it was almost
It's pretty
cooler
cool.
because again, this was, a future product that was supposed to come. It came, and now
Yeah,
it's actually doing work. It's
yeah,
doing a full load. So, yeah, it was super special. I was sending you pictures that morning,
yeah.
show
I
you like,
love that.
yeah, yeah.
This thing has
I was
arrived.
sending. I was like, hey,
Yeah,
we're more than just a club or a digital having a big digital presence. Like we actually do events every month, and so I was
yeah.
sending for those
That's a
that don't
huge
know.
event. I mean, you had
Yeah,
200 Teslas. You
yeah.
had quite a bit of folks come in, and then you said 5 clubs come together and then
Yep.
have a full day of events. And then for this to happen, where everybody gets to see the Tesla Semi in action, you actually saw it. You get to speak to the driver. That's pretty special. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it couldn't have the event couldn't have been cooler, I guess
Yeah.
is the word. So, and again, I'm not familiar with the trucking routes, but I guess it makes sense now that Harris Ranch
Yeah.
would be a key stop, at least even during the day, because they
Yeah.
have right next to the other 80 stalls. So the way Harris Ranch works is if you
80
go in,
stalls.
or if you look at the top of it, like from like an image, you can see the restaurant, the hotel, and 18 stalls, and then I think there's Electrify America. But really, across the street, you see there's like kind of like a liquor store where you can go in and get sandwiches, and 80 stalls, and then there's just huge open field or dirt area for trucks to literally just park. So
This is
my
yeah.
original video was me literally walking up, and it was backing into where I think there was like 6 other semis. So,
Wow.
super special and grateful for it.
Yeah.
So,
They're gonna
but cool,
replicate this everywhere. Cool.
yeah, no, it was super cool, but yeah, so, but yeah, I wanted to bring you in, because again, it was just a catch up for, some of our members to just kinda get the latest, our members and followers, just the latest on what's been going on. We are officially, just days away from Investor Day.
Yeah.
And there's going to be there's been so much speculation, and so I thought this would be a really cool opportunity to potentially talk about even new thoughts on Investor Day based on anything that we've recently heard, or just talk about the latest events. I mean,
Yeah.
again, there's always something going on. It's crazy to follow this company. I don't even remember, and you've been a long time Apple follower. I don't remember having a company like this where it's just like there's always
Never.
something going on. Not even Apple, right? Even in the early days.
Never. Yes.
So we're always hearing something like Australia, something happening in Australia, something happened in Mexico. It's just, always something going on. But yeah, I'll pass you the mic and thank you again for your time today.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, actually what I'm excited about is I'm going to present at my screen here. But the other thing I'm quite excited about is actually all the good news that has happened in with Tesla in just the last in the last month, last 2 months, in January to now. Yeah, so go ahead and show that.
Okay.
This is you were showing it. There you go. Okay, so this is the standard milestone list that I've shared quite a bit. And but the other, I'll show you another table shortly of all the events that have happened in January to February. They're very good news for Tesla. So just to quickly review the 2020 milestones, all these things have happened in January. So the EV credit we knew was a big deal for this year. We had the Q4 production deliveries. We were still worried at this point whether or not things where demand was softening or not, because we did only get 405,000 units delivered. But again, what I found was interesting is that even though this was a kind of people thought this was a bit of a miss because of what estimates were. It's the first quarter we ever had 400,000 units delivered. That's a huge milestone. That was one
Yep.
of the things we were dreaming about last year. And it was actually done. It actually was achieved for one quarter. That's a huge thing. And so that happened. And then this one here, Texas Lithium Refinery breaks ground. This is massive. And yet, I don't think many of us or the press have really spent a lot of time talking about this, right? But this is the first kind of uh, big deal kind of move by Tesla to really start showing that they're not just a car company. They're an energy company, and they've now vertically integrated to become a refinery. Can you believe this? This is a tech company. It's become a refinery,
Yeah, I
it's just
mean,
crazy.
it's really for them, right? I mean, they're stepping into vertical integration now, right? This is really for them. They want to own the full stack of every
Yeah,
part of the supply chain, right? Because COVID was a perfect example where,
yeah,
you are not in control of your own destiny. It is, you are constrained to what your partners can put out. And so a lot of times, it's important. I don't think that they necessarily, at least to, some of the Tesla people I've talked to, it wasn't like they woke up one morning and said, "Hey, we want to get into mining.
nope,
We want to get
nope,
into." And
yeah,
so, but I think what happened is that COVID and, even this recession, and it just, they're learning that they have to own it. They don't have a
yeah,
choice. I think they were kind of pushed into a
yep,
corner in some ways because, again, especially with mining, I don't know all the political things, but I know it's pretty political. It can be controversial. And so for them, it was definitely like partially even an ethical issue of like whether they should get into it. But as you said, they aren't a car company, right? At some point, Apple stopped reporting how many phones they produce. Tesla may even down the road. Again, it's probably we're still years away from this, but they'll stop potentially even sharing how many cars they're delivering at some point. And so, as you said,
exactly.
this company this company is not a car company. It's a robotics company. It's a company with a bunch of startups within one. And
Yeah,
they are showcasing that now. And again, as we all kind of, you would be able to speak to this more. I don't know what the opinion of this cyber bulls is, but is energy could be is the sleeping giant here, right? Especially given the
it's a huge thing.
margins
Yeah.
on the mega pack.
We've been talking about that. But what's really cool about this refinery was that, he was asked the question, and the person said, typically a refinery takes 7 years to actually start producing. And he said, Our plans show that this will be done in 2 years." And so they've reinvented something here before they want to do something, but they needed to create, like you said, their own supply chain. They got into it. And that's why I think this is bigger deal than we're all thinking. It's going to be pretty big. And we're going to hear more about it. Master Plan Part 3 with a scale, right?
Super
Um,
excited.
I'll talk more about this later about this, but the global price cuts was a huge situation for all of us. We were kind of first there was the China price cuts, and then there was the global price cuts, but then immediately after that week we saw that it was a massive, great news for Tesla. It really was price elasticity. It caused the concerns about demand going away. We saw the announcement of the $3.6 billion of Giga Nevada
Yep.
expansion, both 4680 factory as well as the Tesla semi factory. So this again, another situation that everybody was so concerned about. Where are you going to get all these batteries from?
Yep.
Who's going to build everything? So they are making these announcements as we go along, and this happened. And then, of course, the big Q4 earnings call that we attended, and you and I had a call about that, and we talked about all the great things that came out of that, and that's all the things that were happened in January. But let's move on though to the next table, which is the one I'm quite excited about, which is this is oops, here we go. So these are all the events that happened since January. And I don't even think I have all of them. I just kind of put this together very quickly this
There's
morning.
too many, man.
Yeah, there's too many. But these are things that when you stop and think about it, right? That's my point, right? Like, do milestones matter? Do these news matter? And they don't, because we don't see the stock move necessarily. Now, of course, we saw the stock finally jump up, and partly because of the demand issues in China and the macros easing a little bit. But all these things that are happening here are signals that this company is still moving along very, very well. Okay, so let's
Yep.
go through it. January 3rd, they made the announcements that there was going to cut prices in China and Australia. The week later, we saw the Chinese sales rocket, and of course, even now we're now seeing the actual production, the delivery numbers, and they are killing it. Right, they grew 20%, while every other car company got hit hard. So people are switching and buying Teslas now because they are now
Yep.
in the price range that they needed to do. We saw a GigaPress delivery to Asia. I don't know if I should have put this in because we don't know yet if this is Tesla related or not. I should probably remove that. We talked about the Giga Texas expansion. So there was a several $100 million announced that they're going to expand Texas significantly. Again, one of these things that just happens, the news happens. We kind of all get excited internally, but it's not something that kind of it gets into the public's mind to realize that this company this is Giga Texas. It's already massive, and now they're actually growing it. So instead of announcing yet another giga factory, they can expand just the ones that they have now, and that's what we're seeing. So the biggest news, of course, we all agreed to is the global price cuts. That was something that we were just all shocked with. Every country, every car, significant price cuts. Even some versions of the Teslas were done by 20%. And that was signal to the industry, margin strength, that there's no way that other competitors can compete. And again,
Yep.
now we're seeing, what is it, a month later? There's news data, news stats that came out just even yesterday showing that cars are now in price parity, and you can get a Model 3 in California for $27,000. That's if you count the 6 years gas savings. But
Yep.
there's now additional state incentives in addition to
Yeah.
the IRA that can bring these cars down to that price point. And that's a game changer because you know that it's the same price as a Toyota Corolla, and so as a Camry, I think it is. So it's like it really is now something that you cannot compare. Oh, there was another stat that came out yesterday that Teslas are now $5,000 cheaper than the average gas car. and
That's
and this is before they could probably going to do more cuts in prices, because this is before the Giga Texas and Giga Berlin are ramped up, before the 4680s are ramped up, before the Model 3 revision of the Project Highland comes in. And this is all just current cars. We're going to hear more potential for a compact car coming up next month.
Yeah,
Um,
one thing I wanted to hit on the pricing is that it's insane. I think you can,
yeah,
and you may have the news, and so keep me honest here. It is as cheap to get a Model 3 as it is. I think it's a Corolla. It's like
yeah,
$349. And I was
yeah,
talking to
the lease.
other people, whether it's at Tesla or just other fans. It's like there has never been a more affordable time to get into a Tesla. This
Yeah,
is that period, and this is that time. And so, as they've made that drop, those price drops, like now you're at parity, if not cheaper, than some of these
yeah.
gas cars. And so, again, what you don't hear in the news is like, hey, newsflash, everybody, this is the perfect time to get into a Tesla. There literally could not be a cheaper time to get into a Tesla right now.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, so that was the price cuts in January 13th, and then we're starting to see Cybertrucks on the road. We heard that from Franz that Cybertruck's on track. When we saw the Q4 earnings call, they reiterated and confirmed that Cybertruck is going to happen this year. The bigger sale, more production sales will happen next year. Um, we are seeing the sales of Tesla skyrocketing. Again, the price cuts have proven that it worked really well. Giga Nevada, as we talked about. Um, then this is, I think, a massive big news that we were waiting for, which is now that we knew the IRA came in, but all Model Ys qualify for the IRA. This is Tesla's number one selling vehicle. But in fact, right, the projection is that this year it will be the number one selling vehicle, new sales per year of all cars. Doesn't matter if it's just
Yep.
EVs, all cars. It will happen this year. Um, so for it to qualify for the IRA was very, very important. This is big news for us, for kind of Tesla investors, and we're waiting for that. Again, I should probably remove the analyst upgrades because we shouldn't care about their upgrades or not. In fact, we want them to downgrade it so that we can hit them
Buy
out
more
there.
stock.
Buy more stock. Elon announces master plan part 3 in Investors Day. There's
Yep.
proof now in California that people who own power walls can make money. And again, it sounds like, okay, that's cool. This, there was a couple people interviewed and they made $570. So this is the public utility in California paying them money for selling them the energy back. But again, if you stop and think about this, what does this mean, right? This is a absolute change in a business model where you buy a product and you can make money
Yep.
selling that product. And so what happens if they flip this? And so whenever I buy a solar roof or a power wall, I can actually make money back. And so now I either pay for it or in fact, I might make money.
Yep.
And this is kind of the whole model of what happens when the car itself is the total cost of ownership is lower and somehow I can make money with it. So I
Yeah.
think it's a huge news.
And I wanted to hit on this. That's why I kind of zoomed into our faces again. So I was one of those people. I made $311.
You
And
did.
yeah, I did. And so specifically, just to be
Yeah.
specific about where I'm literally across the street from a different town's grid versus my grid. My grid is
Yeah.
specifically the one that I live in, the city I live in. It's a grid where they shut it down because sometimes there's a lot of fires and whatnot. So where it's two different grids, literally, like the people across the street are on a different grid. So mine's always the first one to shut out. So that's why I got these power walls plus solar, is
Gotcha.
because I
Yeah.
don't want Pacific Gas and Electric to tell me when I should have power or not, especially with young kids. You may have to throw all of your food out, right? And so it got to one of those things where sometimes the power would be out multiple days. So
Yeah.
now with the Tesla power walls and panels, I control my own destiny per se, to say,
Yeah.
like, because I can literally live off the grid for almost 2 full days, especially if I obviously pull back on how I'm using the power walls and not like running the AC, for example. But there
Mhm.
was essentially 4 blackout days. And again, I have about 27 kilowatts, 2 batteries, and I literally sold it all back during, those peak hours.
Yeah.
And I thought, I didn't exactly know how it was going to work. I didn't realize that Tesla was going to send me a check. That's literally how it worked. And so as you said, it's just one of those things now. Again, that was just kind of a test last year. Now, as more people are getting online, like this is gonna, you're literally gonna be, I'm gonna become John's, John's energy company, right? So it's
Exactly. A
just,
virtual power wall.
yeah. So it's pretty cool to have that firsthand experience, and I do think it is a game changer for, especially with electricity costs going up, and being able to again to control your own power
Yeah.
is huge.
Yeah, they're just starting that. And another bit of news we'll talk about is in Texas Electric went live, right? Texas Electric went live. And this is virtual power plants where consumers are able to participate in exactly what you're talking about. But now Tesla is actually an electric utility. It's like it's just weird. It's just shocking.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you side note, did you see that video of the Tesla Mega Pack yesterday? It was in Belgium. I think they have 40 Mega
no.
Packs, and now Belgium is it's the largest energy storage in all of Europe. So it's just
Oh,
a
I didn't know that.
video. But
Yeah,
yeah, as you said, this is just going to continue to happen where, not only is Tesla going to be empowering its users to make money from the energy companies and become an energy company, as you're literally saying, but each person's going to be an energy company. But again, the energy
exactly.
storage that they're going to be creating, and people no longer having to live off the grid, is just, it's going to be awesome.
Be awesome. Okay, just finally finish this up. Another massive bit of news, of course, is that we knew that Tesla was going to open up their superchargers to all EVs. They were doing it in Europe already, but now the government, and he struck a deal with the government, or government struck a deal with him because the other car manufacturers are in trouble. They do not have a viable network. You were just talking about going to Harrisburg, the largest with 80 stalls for charging your car, and the EV America, as you guys know, and Ryan from Kilowatts has been showing that Electric America is just it's spotty, right? You don't know. 4 out of 5 chargers you come to, it's not working really well. But Tesla's is so beautiful, and so now they've struck a deal that they need to open up to all EVs. But so again, here is Tesla being given incentives to build more superchargers. Um, and then, of course, we talked about all the benefits that that will do for Tesla and its competitors. But again, a massive, big deal. Why is this a big deal? I mean, it's pretty interesting. You know, we think superchargers are there to support us Tesla owners when we go and park or drive, and you need to plug it in. But when you stop and think about it, what does this mean? The largest companies in the world are gas and oil companies like Chevron and Shell and others. Here's Tesla, basically a car manufacturer, but also creating the gas stations across the globe,
Yep.
right? And they're
Yeah.
going to get money for every time somebody charges or fills up gas. And then it's going to be eventually solar powered. And so when they put solar panels on these superchargers, it's going to be a lot less cost for them, if not, zero cost, right? So it's crazy how
Yeah.
much money they're going to make.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think it's as we all know, these oil companies do get a ton of like subsidies from the government, right? And I
Massive.
think
Yeah.
because I think everyone, that knows
Yeah.
Tesla, oh, well, the only reason that company exists now is because of all these,
Yes.
government subsidies. They don't realize that the oil companies also get tons of subsidies as well. And I think the good thing that I know that's going to happen as they open these superchargers is that it's not going to be in like high dense areas. It's going to be for destination charging. So as you're like traveling the country,
Mm.
that's their goal of what they're going to be opening up first. But as you said, it's like could you think of a better business model? Now the government is coming to you, the EV leader, um, at least maybe not until recently, by the White House, but they're the EV leader to build out more stations on top of the ones that they already have. And I believe that they put out the stat that by the end of 2024, they'll double the amount of superchargers that they have. So now
Yeah.
they've been literally handed not necessarily a blank check, but they've been handed a check to go build out their empire even further. So again, just imagine
Yeah.
Chevron being handed a check to go build more chevrons. I mean, that's like a golden ticket in a lot of ways.
And then they make the
Uh,
money on the transactions. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I don't know, do you know much about how are they gonna work the charging? Are they gonna be charging people that are non-Tesla owners more, or
Yeah.
is there gonna be like a
Yeah.
subscription or
So
something that they're
this
gonna
is the
charge?
way it works right now. And I was talking, I heard this from Omar and I read about it too. So what happens is that if you are a non-Tesla owner and you come in, there's a magic dock. So when you pull out the charging station, it's not just going to be the ones we pull out, but it'll be a little bit of the CCS that comes with it. Okay. So it's pretty straightforward. In order to unlock that, you need to have the app on your phone, right?
Yep.
And then you will be charged if you're non-Tesla higher fees. But you can subscribe a monthly fee. And if you pay this monthly fee to Tesla, then you're going to be charged the same fee that the Tesla owners are getting.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
they're
it's
charging these. So my thought was that they're going to charge the non-Teslas extra money. That should actually subsidize the cost for the Tesla owners to pay less money. Of course, this is a business unit. They've announced Tesla had made sure that this was a business unit that was going to be profitable on its own. They're not going to give it away for free to the Tesla owners, but it should subsidize a little bit of it. Is what I'm thinking.
yeah, no, I mean, it's gonna be a game changer, I think. One, not only to be true to their mission of making or the good of Tesla is
Yeah,
this is in a nutshell is how fast did they accelerate the transition to sustainable future. That's the ultimate good of
yeah,
it, and Elon has said that in an interview with him, with me, and some of our other leaders. But that's the good of Tesla, and so this
yeah,
is just going to make the adoption that much easier. Because imagine now
yeah,
you're no longer looking at Electrify America. You're turning on what it is 10, 20,000 superchargers to the owners
yeah,
in the US. And it's going to be an absolute game changer. Because I know, like for myself, the one of the biggest reasons I could never touch another EV was having a young family and trying to, let's say, come visit you up in Seattle.
yeah, yeah,
And next thing I
yeah.
know, I get
Sure.
to an Electrify America thing up in Oregon, and it's not working, and it's like midnight because I'm trying to drive at night because the kids are sleeping.
Exactly.
Can you imagine having to literally get to a station with 2 kids in the middle of the night? You're gonna have to call I don't even know what other, what AAA, I guess, because Tesla, you have Tesla roadside service. So, it's going to be an absolute, in my opinion, an absolute game changer for
Yeah.
other EV owners, along with, really for Tesla in general, because they're going to build their empire. And at that point, it's just going to be all the other
Mhm.
companies are going to be so irrelevant, especially within the next year. I mean, if you fast forward to December of 2024, if they're literally going to double the amount of
Yeah.
chargers that they have in the US, it's going to be, no one is going to be even close.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it'll just be, really interesting to see what happens. I think this will ultimately help the bottom line, given the margins are going to be awesome. Obviously, as you
Yeah.
said, they're only doing it because, or they're going to do it because, and make sure it's profitable. So, but yeah, I'm super excited. How many people are going to be talking about Tesla now? You have to have their
Yeah.
app.
If
Yeah,
you
yeah, go
if
ahead.
you remove the biggest issue that well, one of the biggest issues of owning an electric vehicle is range anxiety, and you remove that, and then for gas cars, if people say, "Well, don't you have range anxiety with electric vehicles?" and I retort back and I say, "Yeah, but if you have the gas car, don't you have gas price anxiety? Don't you have service anxiety? I don't have those anymore."
I
And
never
I'm telling
thought of
you,
that.
I love it. Right? Service anxiety is my biggest reason why I switch. Every single gas car I've ever bought, it's just total stress for me whenever something happens, and it does, and I have to go bring it to the garage and have it fixed. And I know they're going to just screw me, and I'm going to pay thousands of dollars for whatever it happens to be. And they'll say, yes, whatever you say it is. I have no idea. Is it the alternator, the transmission? Is it the, what, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't have to worry about that with a Tesla, and I just feel so much better about this whole thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, what do you think, so as a Tesla owner, what is your take on not only being a Tesla owner and that experience and what you're gonna potentially have to deal with a little bit, but also too just in general, and maybe more
Yeah.
if we step back from like Tesla's missions perspective, like what's Herbert's, let's get brighter
Yeah.
in
Sure.
that
I
regard.
just want to quickly respond this to Kinky Streets. I mean, he looks like he's been saying a bunch of stuff, this person, but Herbert never owned a Toyota, I guess, or a Mazda. Yes, I have owned both. And you bet my Toyota had massive issues. And I thought the Toyota was going to be the best quality produced, never going to have issues. I have had issues with it as a Tesla minivan or Toyota minivan. I've had every car you could possibly have. Um, I mean, well, I don't know what your question is about Teslas. I think we all understand already how great a Tesla Model 3 is. What I have a Model 3. We love this car. It is just so easy to drive and so wonderful. And I think that I tell you, the biggest issue I have, or the biggest thing that I love about the car so much is just no service issues. I'm telling you, that's the biggest issue. So I've had great experiences with the Tesla service. I've had mobile support, or I brought it in and I know that they're not trying to make money on me. That's not their goal. And how everything is being done through the app. So you're communicating with them back and forth, and they can actually go into your hardware, right, to your computer system, and know what the issues are through the mobile app. So
Yep.
I've only had great experiences with them. I just think it's a wonderful thing, and then to the point that my wife actually thinks that they should be give every time I go to the service, it should be free. Everything's free because we've had a few that are free, and she's going, "How come this one's not free?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding? You don't understand. You don't remember BMW what we had to do all the time." So
Yeah. How do you think, so I guess, if you've done some road trips, how, I guess the question was, and sorry if I wasn't more clear, it was more of like, how do you think the Tesla experience potentially could change with having more EVs actually, at the supercharger as they open this up?
yeah, I obviously it's going to be concerned for us Tesla owners. But I think that I just know that they're gonna, it's like the price of success because the cars are selling like crazy with 2 million sales coming up this year. They need to catch up, and they have to build superchargers all around the world, right? Especially now that they're expanding to Thailand and to Taiwan and to Australia. And as they do that, they need to build superchargers. So they're going to be slower. It's going to be an issue. And I think that they will need to just focus on it and build it. And so I think with the incentives and all that, this will all happen. So there will be obviously a mismatch in timing, and people are certainly worried about that. So we early owners are kind of spoiled a bit, where I have not had to do any waiting. There was one time that I went to Vancouver, Canada, and I had to wait 5-10 minutes, and it was an experience where I'm, again, I'm just not used to this, so I'm like
Yep.
going, damn it. But in Canada, in Vancouver, Canada, right? It's downtown Vancouver, and so most people have so many Teslas there, but they don't have the typical home that you plug in the garage, and so more of them use these superchargers that are right in the city, and so there's going to be wait times, and that's just going to skyrocket because now
Yep.
non Teslas will have to use it too, so it will be an issue. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think the good thing is again, I know that a lot of what they're going to open isn't going to be like Santa Monica Pier or, some of these superchargers in the Bay Area. Again, the goal is to open up the ones where it's going to allow you to get to places that like doing road trips and again, removing that range anxiety. Because even around your house, you're probably charging at home. There's no range anxiety. You're doing, most
No
of
rage
your
anxiety. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Even for myself, maybe I
Yeah.
had to do a little bit more research when I went
Yeah.
to Yosemite a couple years ago. But there's also, there was a couple of chargers down in the Yosemite Lodge, so you could actually go in and then just park your car and then go see some waterfalls, walk around,
Yeah.
and next thing you know, you charge up an additional 50 miles. But again, it's initially, again, it's going to get to a point where it's going to be completely a non-factor. I had to spend 10 minutes get on, a trip planner, specifically even the Tesla one. And you just get a little bit more homework in on like, okay, where can I go if I'm down there?
Yeah.
But I was able to charge up fully every morning and then go into Yosemite and come out with no problem at all. And so I think again, yeah, in these more dense areas, hopefully that's going to be something that they hold off on for a while. But if I'm able to take a Rivian from
Yeah.
Seattle all the way, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to quickly add that this opening up to other EVs, it's going to be controlled. There's only 2,000 superchargers that they're going to roll this out to that will be opened up. So it's going to be controlled in terms of where they do
Yep.
it. It's not like all of a sudden any supercharger you have an
Yeah.
EV, you can go and do that. They're going to have to roll it out when they get incentives. So for the opening up to the EVs, it will have to be I'm paid incentive from the government, then I'll build it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why they're incenting them. So they want to roll it out faster than their original plan was.
Yeah. No, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I think it's going to be one of those things where, especially like if I can go from Seattle down to the, Miami, I think that's the type of thing that
That's
you want to be thinking about. It's not going
It's
to be,
not an issue today.
yeah,
I had 5 friends who all drove from Vancouver or Seattle all the way to Texas, and one of them, Ash Martian, she had the normal range one, not the long range Model 3, and
yeah,
she was able to do this. So it's not an issue. Like
yep,
no issues.
yeah,
I just want to come back to the service thing, okay? Because there's some people in the
yep,
comments going, "I've owned Toyotas and I've owned these other things, and I've never had a problem with this. They are the best, highest quality." What you're not understanding is that is a fundamental difference in the business models of these ICE cars and the EV cars. And Elon has several times tweeted this out to remind people that this is the case, okay? If you go and look at the business model of all the ICE cars, they make more money in parts and supplies sold afterwards through maintenance and services.
yep,
That's how they make their money. The dealerships make a ton of money for the original sale, but the ICE cars actually make very little in profit. We're talking $1,000 or $2,000. Where
yep,
they make their money is in the sales of the parts of the car every time the car has to go in for service in the future. So they
yep,
purposely built these cars. It's like they are trying not to make it more efficient or effective. So if you're telling me it's got the best quality, that's comparing against other ICE cars. So if you look at the EV cars, there's no moving parts, okay? There's a battery the size of a shoebox, okay? And that's
yep.
it. So there is no issue. There's nothing that's going to happen. So tell me, if you're going to tell me, oh, I've had to bring in my Tesla to get fixed, what was it other than the windshield wiper? And then you don't even need to fix the brakes. And then if there's some sort of issue with the software, most of it can be done online. Of course, there's going to be something you need to bring in for service. But if you look at in aggregate compared to all the other ICE cars, you're just not going to be able to do that same comparison. And it's not Tesla's business model to make money on those services. So it's
Yep.
their job, their goal every single day in the production facilities. Every day they make little tiny improvements to reduce the need to go to the service
Yep.
facilities. That's their business model. So eventually these cars will be built in such a way, especially that's why they do gigacastings and so forth, to reduce any kind of, like, truly efficient. Anyways, I just, I mean,
Yeah, no,
okay.
I actually I wanna piggyback on what you were saying because I know you've talked with Corey, I think I've talked with Sandy recently, and they were saying that the most profitable businesses
Right.
in Michigan are
Yes.
these auto dealership groups.
Yeah.
Again, Tesla, like, I think Kinky, Streets is literally complaining about replacing a 12-volt battery. I mean, that's probably the biggest complaint, and then windshield wiper fluid. I'm sorry, you can't compare that to these Stealerships is what I call it.
Stealerships. Yeah.
Who yeah, who are literally their goal is to make money when you return to do an oil change or 30, 60, $90,000 service, which is one of the big ones. The timing belt, all of these things are made to break so that you come in within 3 to 6 months of owning your car so that they can charge you $250 an hour in labor and
Yeah.
just continue to milk it, right? That's literally how it is. And so it's just one of those things where you can't compare, right? Sure, if I have to go spend $100 on a 12-volt battery or even $200, whatever it is, for the first time in 3 years, or spend $6 on windshield wiper fluid, again, they have removed that model, and that's why these dealerships right now they're probably still doing okay. But 3 to 5 years from now, as people are buying these EVs, depending on how Ford, GM, Volkswagen, and all these other companies build these EVs, if they're going to be building them with the model that they currently have in mind, these companies will fail because
Yeah.
people aren't going to be buying an EV that they're going to have to go in to get a software update for and spend only God knows if they're even charging for those, which I think some of them are. I think Jaguar and Mercedes, like the acceleration boost
Charges
is like
for
an
the
annual
software update.
subscription. But yeah, you're exactly right, man. It's they're all up for a wake up call. And I think Sandy had made the point that the Stealerships are making more money than the OEM, which is insane, right? You would think that
It's
the
insane.
like
Yeah.
so it's like the reseller is making way more than the actual company selling the product.
No, but the
And
OEMs make money on the actual parts that they sell
yeah,
to these dealerships, who
yeah,
then mark everything up.
exactly.
Okay. So I worked at, I won't call it, but one of the big three medical equipment manufacturers in the
Yeah.
world. And the parts are made for these MRI machines and all these other machines, CT scanners. The parts are made in Germany, but this
Mhm.
company has multiple subsidiary companies. And I was a person who worked in the product, and I was able to dig through all the financials. And guess what happened? Every time the Germany factory sold it to the subsidiary in Europe that's going to distribute it and send it out, they do a markup. Then there's a markup. Then there's a markup. There's a markup. And so this same company marked up that product over and over and over again. And then, of course, when they sell it back to the hospitals, they have massive markups. So that's where they make their money. And the money was made more in service than it was in the actual original product. It's the razor and blades model, right? We're going to sell you the product as small as possible, low as possible, but then we know we're going to make so much money when the parts
Yeah.
all break up and we need to replace them. So
Yep. Yeah, no, and Tesla's model is, they make money on the point of sale. And then, really their goal is to, again, hopefully you'll buy another one, right? And to sell more vehicles.
wait, no, but they're going to make money. It's eventually they're going to give away the Teslas. They're going to make money on the subscriptions, right?
Yep.
Subscription to the EV, to the charging, subscription to the entertainment,
Yep.
subscription to
Internet,
yeah,
premium
just
connectivity.
to just full self driving, the software
Yep.
features. That's where they're going to make all their money. I mean, if they can sell you an FSD for $15,000, that's a software upgrade. That's, I mean, like, why don't I just give you the car for free? I'm going to make my 15 grand that way, right? So,
Yep.
I mean, again, I think we're going to see huge business models being changed. If we go back to the thing, I can just finish it off,
Yep.
just to do the completion of this news. So
Good.
this is the final news, of course, which is massive, which is Giga Shanghai part shut down for upgrades happened yesterday or this last week. And the reason why I think that's a big deal is because I think that's I'm hoping that everybody's thinking that the reason they're doing that is because they're shutting it down to have to finally revise the Model 3, because the Model 3, as you know, is built kind of the older technology without the giga castings for the front and rear, just like the Model Ys, not the unibody kind of thing, structural body packs. And so when they do that, and as we know, Project Highland could even be more than just that, then that's a even further reduction in the Model 3 prices. But for it to have happened now, I think we were all thinking it was going to happen in September. And so it still might be that the actual revised Model 3 doesn't roll out till September. But it's good news that they're actually starting to fix the Guga Shanghai now. And then
Yeah.
so then if we just go back to here, which is the big milestones for 2023, right? We're waiting for version 11, 11.3. We all know how big of a deal this is. We keep hearing every 2 weeks. We now know that its employees have it. We're seeing the actual
Stoked.
software
So
requirements
stoked.
off. I'm sure you obviously this is a big deal for you. You're the very first person outside of the employees who actually tried out this amazing autopilot software. But this is going to be a leapfrog, as we know. Investors Relation Day is less than a week from now. That's going to be massive, as we think about. Compact car Gen 3 reveal. I don't even know if we're going to see this or not. People think that they are, but Gen 3 platform is what they said. They didn't say a reveal. They just said we're going to talk about the Gen 3 platform. Master Plan Part 3. Again, I think we've already talked about this. And then we're expecting new gigafactories, new megapack factories announced.
Yep.
We've been hearing rumors about Indonesia and Mexico. Their own government, politicians are talking about it already. So it's really close. Canada, even possibly more that we haven't heard about. And then these other things that we just put down in the future. That's with AI Day 3. It's coming up. We're going to probably see more
Yep.
robots there, more expansion of Tesla Energy. Dojo full production. So that's a huge one, because that's like equivalent to AWS in Amazon. And this is like Dojo as a service. So they could sell this just like Amazon sold AWS as a whole new business unit that transformed their business. Cybertruck is mass. There's just too many things here. Okay. Anyways,
It's just
I don't think we should read this out.
yeah,
Everybody knows everything, but it's
but
just so
but
many of them.
but this year is going to be a big year. I'm personally so yeah, I'm personally really excited for the 11.3 to be
Yeah.
released. That's going to be huge. Again, we've been talking about that for over a year. This V11, this full stack. So, the biggest issue right now is you'll be on you'll be on side streets, you'll get onto the highway. It's a different stack. It's not just a seamless thing. And so I'm really excited for that. Cybertruck launch.
Do you know what I'm personally excited about the version 11.3 is I don't know if this is going to come out right now. It's the ability to do the parking lots
Yes.
and the
Yes.
summon and the reverse summon. Now, if it comes out now, or maybe let's say it comes out 3 months from now, whatever, it doesn't matter. When it comes out, I think, you tell me if I'm wrong, I'm thinking this could be the viral moment that people will realize that Teslas can actually drive themselves. And the reason I'm saying that is that
Mm,
imagine when you go to Walmart, or let's call Costco, right? You go to Target. Let's go to Target. Okay, you go to Target and you get out of your car and you see this Tesla drop off the drivers. They go off. The car itself comes in and finds a parking lot and stops. They come out and they summon it. There's reverse summon and reverse summon, and it comes out and it drives to pick them up. And in a parking lot, it's going to move slow. It's not moving 50, 70 miles
yep.
an hour. Um, it just needs to see the environment, make sure it's going slowly and carefully, but it actually works. This is viral. Like, people are going to be seeing this. They're going to be
Yeah.
videotaping it. I think it's going to go Instagram. It's going to TikTok. This is a thing that people are going to go, what?
Yeah.
That's what I think. So
Yeah,
I
and
can't
it
wait for that to
already
happen.
there's been a couple of those things where it's like, you'll do summon in general. Let's say I'm,
Yeah.
standing outside, it's raining. I can, again, partially summon the car. Again, it's not going to be as good as V11, but people's faces when they realize no one is in the driver's seat, again, it just when it kind of goes from here, or like from their eyes and into their brain, they're like, what is going on? Like, is this the apocalypse? You know what I mean? But yeah, I think it's gonna be huge, man. I mean, V11 again, the smart summon, parking. I would say a parking lot, especially in a Target or a Costco, is even harder than a highway, right? Because there's so many
Uh,
more things. Maybe not, maybe not. I was just gonna say it's like you have cars backing out, you have people and kids just very unpredictable. Whereas on a highway, sure, cars are unpredictable, but
okay, yeah, you're right. You're right.
so
Yeah,
maybe I'm wrong, and then obviously there's medians that they have to get around, shopping carts that are going to be going by. But again, I could be wrong. But yeah, for them to be able to
maybe you're
get to
right.
this point, because even right now on 10.69.25, I'm able to initiate FSD, and it can still take me through a Costco parking lot. Obviously, not parking itself, but what I've seen it deal with, again, cars backing out, people just jumping in the front of the road with their shopping carts. It's very complex, and so I think the fact that we're already driving through parking lots with FSD, and then again, it's going to happen
Yeah,
with further smart summon, and then potentially smart parking, all that stuff. It's going to be like just an absolute game changer. So
yeah,
I'm
it's gonna be big.
personally really excited about that. So I wanted to hit you with a couple of questions. I know we only have a couple more minutes here. So let's just show this one. What is your factory prediction for the next one, next factory location?
I haven't given that a lot of thought. I mean, obviously, it's a Indonesia was the one that I thought was going to happen for sure, and the reason, we heard rumors from Canada and Mexico, and they seem to be hot and heavy. So I think all three will happen, but the one I really want to happen is Indonesia, and I think that the reason is that Asia, the one of I was listening to Jim Chanos debate Ross Gerber, and Chanos, who's a short for Tesla, was saying that he's very concerned about the dependence in China, and Giga Shanghai is 40% of all of Tesla's revenue, and we're beholden to whatever happens there. And I just want to, have additional into factories that are in Asia to to control that concern that we're beholden to one particular state or country. So that's the one I'm most interested in. But I do think it's going to be Indonesia because the mining is the most important thing too. So where they can get the minerals that they need, and I think it's going to be Indonesia.
Definitely. Thank you. Next one is, do you have any hardware 4 theories?
Surprisingly, I'm not as like, I know for some reason all of our little group of friends, hardware 4 is such a big deal for them. Like everything about how many cameras, where's the camera gonna go? We need the cameras everywhere. I actually don't even like think about it because for me, it's like there's gonna be hardware 3, there's hardware 4, there's gonna be hardware 5, there's gonna be hardware 6, there's gonna keep improving this over time. Um, I mean, the theories I have with Harvard 4 is that it's, I think we saw some potential fake kind of things, but it's going to have kind of like extra cameras that's going to be, be able to see and peek out a little bit forward instead of just the B pillars. That's all. That's all I have. What are the theories? I don't know. What are the other theories?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I think was it kilowatts just seeing, more cameras,
Yeah.
in the actual lights. So yeah, I mean, as far as the progression
That's what
of
makes most sense to me would be the
yeah,
actual lights themselves because it's easy to pull out and pull in and fix, and
yep.
instead of the bumper, yeah, the body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely. I mean, I think that's going to be the biggest progression on top of, but hardware 4 is going to be a huge step forward as far as the MCU goes. But all
Well,
right,
yeah.
last
I mean, so I was just going to say very quickly about that is that currently today Tesla has many different vehicle configurations. That we just talked about the Tesla Semi, and there's going to be the Cybertruck. And so it doesn't even matter like when the hardware 4 opens up, it needs to be able to immediately respond to I've got 12 cameras, I've got 8 cameras, I've got 6 cameras, I've got camera over here and here, but this one I don't have it here and here. And this one in Model Y is higher than the Model 3, So it just needs that's what it doesn't matter how many cameras you add onto whatever vehicle it is. What matters is, the system can function. Oh,
sorry,
I
I was
can't hear you.
muted.
Yeah.
I was
There you
muted.
go.
Last question, and then we're gonna let
Yeah.
Herbert get on with his day. Is Any thoughts on the U.S. and China
Yeah.
geopolitics?
I think it's a big deal. That's a question I've been asking a lot of my guests is what the concerns are with that. I've heard both sides, right? Some people say China needs Tesla to be there. China is supporting Tesla. They're actually making sure that they do because this is China's potential opportunity now to be able to be a global car manufacturer, not just a car manufacturer for China, but actually go and sell it everywhere. And because again, it's the same reasons why Tesla is doing this, which is there's two major step changes that's happening at the same time: the revolution and switch to electric vehicles and the robo taxi abilities. And so they want Tesla to be there, even if it's to copy them. And that's what they're doing. That's why Tesla. That's why they want iPhone there, so that they can actually copy them and be able to take that skill that they've developed, building it for Apple, to then do it for their own country. So I think that there is no concern that China, or it's not that it's no concern, it's much less than people realize that China is going to somehow shut down Tesla. But the US China geopolitics, I have no idea. China may back Russia, and then we're now in World War IV. Was it three? Sorry, I'm jumping up one extra World War.
Let's hold,
But
yeah, exactly.
three.
Let's get to three
But
for. Well, hopefully we don't see three.
no, let's not get to three. But yeah, I think, and I think the issue is that China. I mean, it's unpredictable because their economy is struggling right now. They need to prop it up. They need to make sure that they're at the same position that U.S. was in 2008, where they had the run up of the real estate issues that they have, and so I think that they're dependent. They need this to happen right now. Or you can say it's the opposite, right? Which is because they're in such dire straits, they're going to be much more risky. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's been really interesting to watch Apple. Obviously, now they're starting to move out of China just because of all the COVID restrictions. So
yeah,
there's lots going on there, obviously. And then again, not that we need to get into like random theories, but like these balloons that are coming over. There's just a lot going on. There's always something going on with this conflict
yeah.
that we have. And so hopefully, Tesla can continue to navigate all of that. And ultimately we'll see. But as you know, whenever you bring something into China, it's not something you ever really own. So at that point, with Shanghai and some of the other stuff, the design studio that they have there, it's never really yours anymore. And as you said, like their goal is to probably to copy it, to learn from it, as they have probably from the iPhone, to ultimately be able to kind of sell into their own country. But yeah, I think I don't think I've ever seen a company like Tesla be
Yeah.
given so much favor in one country. So it's pretty
It's
insane to
it's I
see.
think quite unfair that the U.S. government or the U.S. media is not giving Tesla its due. That it's actually a U.S. manufacturer, and they're like one of the leaders in creating a factory, like bring back manufacturing back into the U.S. instead of having to send it off to another country like a China or India because they have cheaper labor, right? So everybody was freaking out. All manufacturing is moved over there. That's changed. The manufacturing doesn't need to go there anymore because it's all created by robots. And Tesla is showing that they can create a factory anywhere and they don't need to go to China. And they're just doing it to reduce the cost of delivery in the Chinese market, because the Chinese market is going to be one of the biggest markets for Tesla. So I have this one graph that I'm going to show today uh,
Yep.
that actually shows that I think Alex Voigt showed it out there, which is Tesla, and you compare it to Tesla's presence in China. It's basically Tesla. Okay, it's like the leader, and then the BYD, and
Yep.
all the European car manufacturers. Okay, Volvo, Mercedes, right? All these guys, they have no presence in China. So the only car company that's made a dent in selling in China is Tesla.
Yeah.
That's non-Chinese company. So yeah,
Yeah. It's pretty insane. Okay, well, thank you, Herbert, so much for just an hour of your time again. Everyone, please make sure to follow Herbert specifically on Twitter at Herbert Ong. Also, obviously, check out his YouTube channel, Brighter with Herbert. But I appreciate your time. You're doing a lot for the community, just by keeping these milestones, doing the Tesla Minute every day, bringing together people from all backgrounds. And so I always want to tap that brain sometimes. And again, thank you for your list. It just really makes it easy to track everything that's just going on with Tesla. So
Yeah.
appreciate your time
Thank you so
today.
much, John. Appreciate it. You're the OG, so you've been here longer than me, than all of us. Day one.
Um, yeah, no, of course. But yeah, thanks again. And
Okay.
yeah, thank you to all of the members and followers for tuning in. Keep checking in on various live streams that we'll be doing. Some of it's going to be quick updates like this. Others are going to be on topics that may be about Tesla ownership. So again, thank you, Herbert, for coming live, and thank you for all the followers for tuning in today. I appreciate it. Have a great Wednesday.
Thanks, everybody.